Hello, welcome to the Daily Telegraph NRL Podcast. Adam Mobbs here with Phil Buzz Rothfield and Big Daddy Michael Carayannis.
Big Daddy.
Well,
a bit creepy coming from you, but yes, thank you, Mobbsy. Yeah, it's been
Congratulations.
Thank you, Buzz. Thank you, Mobbsy. It's been a big few days in the Carayannis household.
So Michael has become a father for the second time. Little daughter Zoe.
Yep, born on Monday night. Well, most people were flying back from Vegas.
Yeah, well, so how lucky you didn't go.
I didn't go 3 weeks early, so there was a little bit of, should I go, should I not go? But made a decision not to go, and lucky because would have missed everything.
Now,
so two girls, Alina and Zoe, NRLW players in the future?
If they want. My wife's not a big rugby league fan, so
really?
Clara does not,
Doesn't she watch the footy with you?
Not really. She's started to get to know people now through conversation she overhears at home and stuff like that. But no, I could be on the phone to anyone. She wouldn't have a clue.
You shouldn't have said that, because if they ever come looking for your sources, they'll just go to Clara and go, who's he on the phone to now?
She's got no idea.
Flano.
That's Buzz.
So Buzz, anyone that reads League Central and has a look at the tips panel knows what a terrible judge Michael is. So he tells me on Monday, mate, things are moving. Clara's waters are broke. I'll let you know.
A terrible judge. I think I'm the only one that got 2 from 2
anyway,
so far this week.
I check in with him a bit later on. He said, mate, goes, no contractions yet. They're likely to send us home. We'll be back in probably 24, 48 hours. How many hours later was your daughter born?
About 6. It went from 0 to 100 very quickly.
Probably a good thing you came into journalism and not medicine.
Well, that's what they were telling us initially, because she wasn't. Waters broke late on Sunday night.
But we hadn't had first bub. You should have.
That's why we were a bit more relaxed, I think, and a bit distracted, because Elena's only 18 months. So, but we didn't have an overnight bag. We had nothing packed.
Really?
So when they said, they've got to start induction, Clara said to the obstetrician, can you give us an hour? Can we go home? The hospital's really close to home. Can we go home, pack a bag, and then, so a bit of mayhem, but all is well, and here I am.
Yeah, lucky you weren't on the flight home from Vegas at the time. Geez, you would have missed that. It would have been Mitch Moses areas of watching it on Zoom.
Hope that would have been. I don't know what would have happened.
There were a lot of tired and emotional people on that plane home too.
What about you, Buzz? You were MVP. All the mail that I've been getting.
No.
Lots of people there. That you were the star of the show.
No.
Selfies. Round of applause as you entered the plane.
I did make a mistake last night. I was going to bed midnight. Seriously, and I was in my room, and Reedy says, "Come downstairs, have one."
Well, the last night in Vegas.
So I go down, and I get home at 5. And that's the latest night I've had for more than a decade.
Well, we spoke close to 12:30 in the morning that time. You'd called me and you said you were Reedy's taken. So home at 5. That means you've gone out for 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
So which isn't bad. But you were at the Zouk nightclub that Ludacris, the rapper and actor.
That's inside Resorts World.
Yep.
Gosh, it was loud.
2003, me would have been freaking out at Luda on stage.
I lined up to watch him when I was there in December. The line was way too long. It was the first night we arrived.
I was the oldest there by 30 years.
Reedy was there.
Well, he's 30 years young.
Are we allowed to tell that little story about Reedy?
Oh, look, a guy goes up to Reedy. I told why not? He won't mind. Ashley Klein. He won't mind. Ashley Klein. Can I tell you something? I got to know Ashley Klein and Adam G very well.
Ashley Klein's a really nice guy.
And can I tell you something? It's so nice to meet them, talk to them and understand. They're actually really good blokes, both of them, and we smash them, and punters do. They're really good fellas. So anyway, Ashley Klein, we're in there, and it was pretty dark. It was, you could just see Ludacris. And he walks up to Reedy, puts his mitt out, shakes his hand, said, "Mate, well done. Tough 8 months for you. I'm glad you've been cleared." And I'm looking at Reedy, what's he talking about? But it turns out he thought he was Paul Kent. So my concern is now if Ashley's having trouble distinguishing the difference between Kenty.
What happens on the field?
I'm worried about them, more the bunker.
Oh, the bunker.
Yeah.
But it's a bit dark in the bunker.
Yeah. No, all good. He's a really good bloke.
I don't know how many times I could hear you say Ludacris and it makes me laugh.
Right. See how many followers he's got? Do you see how many followers?
Yes, I'm well aware.
18 million.
Were you a big fan of his music?
Well, I got 98,000.
Were you a fan of his music, Buzz?
Not really. Not really.
Luda.
Mate, what about that? So, good time, Buzz? Highs, lows?
Look, the highs was just been... The Fan Fest was one of the best things I've ever seen. It was really well done by the NRL and their staff. You know, it's okay for Peter V'landys to have the idea and for Andrew Abdo to, you know, make it happen. But without their staff, they did a really, really good job the whole week, and the punters loved it. It'll grow and grow and grow. Look, my highlight was just being at that stadium. 2 great games of footy, great feed in the wind suite. I had tomahawk steaks and shrimp tacos and hot dogs. Fine, it was great.
We read that in your highlight in the paper.
Tomahawk was good, Buzz.
Oh, unbelievable. Sushi, they just had everything. Look, low light was obviously Spencer Lanu and the
alleged
drama after.
racism
I wrote before
incident.
I sent the story through to you. To put those 2 clubs on the same floor, the same hotel, when there's 58 floors to choose from, and
you could be in different wings in that place and you wouldn't see it.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really unfortunate. But what's upset me more than actually what was allegedly said is that this fun and games line that he gave Reedy when he was on the sideline, Triple M. Fun and games. It's not fun and games. And every time I've seen Spencer get off the plane, he's smiling as though nothing's happened. I'd like him... Look, obviously he's going to plead not guilty, and it's hard to show remorse if you don't. But I'd like to hear him say, look, if there's been a misunderstanding, I feel for Ezra Mam. Because he's been deeply hurt by this.
Yeah, and
I just thought, and I know everything's controlled by lawyers now, and everything's controlled by Roosters PR. I'd just like him to come out and say something about Ezra without admitting the guilt.
Well, that's it, and that's I think he might have been. Obviously, he was full of emotion after that game, and to be asked in the heat of the battle, probably could have chosen his words better. But then subsequently, you would have thought there'd be, you know, some sort of show of being a little bit humble when you come home to, you know, to understand the gravity of what impact this alleged incident's happened.
Yeah, but it was a low light. But if it had happened at Colgrove, if it had happened at Combank, it would still be a low light. So it's just a no-go area in rugby league these days, and the game has done so much with Indigenous All-Stars supporting the great athletes that play our game, and it's not on, Mickey.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting judicial hearing on Tuesday, and what the follow-up ramifications are for the game as a whole, I guess. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, definitely. And on the footy, who was more impressive, Manly or the Roosters?
Oh, Manly, I thought. Manly, I'd put them in my top 4 when you asked us for the tips in last month, and they're big, strong, fast, skillful. Turbo and Teddy were probably among the highlights. You know?
Definitely.
Teddy was outstanding, wasn't he?
I thought Teddy was cooked when we got beaten 30-0 by the Kiwis, and after a long, tough year, and I thought, look, there's Walsh, there's Ponga, there's Edwards, there's Latrell, there's Turbo, and I'll probably miss someone. But he ain't going to give it away anytime soon on that form. Long year though.
Well, he had a full off season for the first time in ages, where there wasn't a clean up surgery. A late season, a really late season test. So he's had a full off season, Teddy. And he looked in the mood, didn't he? Yeah. And that was again, so happy for him. So.
Never ever bag a champion.
That's why I don't bag you, Buzzy.
I had a little whack at him last year, and I still say. Look, just hear me out. He finishes Origin. The Roosters are desperate.
You brought this up.
Yeah, well, the Roosters are desperate to win football games.
Yeah.
And understandably, Trent Robinson gave him the week off to freshen up for the run home. So he takes himself and his lovely wife, who was heavily pregnant, up to Byron Bay. And that's great. But I thought he could have come back on game day and sat with Robbo and... Yes, support. That was... Do you agree?
Probably, but it didn't bother me as much as it bothered you.
Yeah.
And I don't knock a champion.
Yeah, old splinters over there. Sit on the fence. You're worried about ABC full-time. I can't afford to be off with Teddy.
Although he did, I'll get into this shortly, he did have a decent little whack at Parramatta last night. So, and
Did you?
Geez, someone went after him on Twitter as well. I saw the
What'd
response.
you say about Parra?
Oh,
I didn't have a decent whack. I just said I don't have him in my top 8. And
You know they're heartland. They're our readership,
why is that
mate.
a
What are you
revelation? They
upsetting
didn't make
them
the
for?
8 last year. How's it a revelation? Oh, I don't pick a team that's not in the top 8 that didn't make the top 8 last year. Is that a scoop?
Look,
you've got teams like Canberra that might be
Canberra.
falling out of.
Are they in your 8, Ozzy?
if you're trying to tell me who's going to win a comp when we've had 2 games of the first
Well, we're
round,
just talking. Do you have Parramatta in your top 8?
no.
Oh, God. Okay, there you go.
You two are a
Mobbsy?
disgrace. Of course I do. Top 4.
Top 4.
Unbeaten after
One
I'm off
round.
Parramatta.
Now listen, before we get into that, something that has been bubbling along is Zac Lomax.
Yeah, well, Buzz had it, 2 weeks ago, maybe? A bit?
yeah. Mentioned
Unhappy.
a couple of weeks ago. Look,
Unhappy, he's on the wing.
he thinks he's a centre.
Mm.
And a couple of years ago we were talking about him as a potential origin centre. So, and he's playing on the wing. And I asked Shane Flanagan about this.
800,000.
I said, what are you doing putting him on the wing? And he said, I don't pick teams on my salary cap. I pick the strongest side each week. And he thought
Jack
Jack Bird and
Sully.
Moses Surley were his better options.
Yeah.
And they both had big games down in Mudgee.
They have. The Bird, Sully, Sua, Molo have all had big...
And the big winger.
They all
Koala.
had big, they've all had big pre-seasons and put in good performances. And in the opening trials, you can't say the same about Zac Lomax. But there's no doubt there's a level of discontent there with Zac. He's unsettled. He's unhappy about being shifted.
Trouble is, he's going to have to take a massive pay cut.
He's still got, 2026 his deal ends.
Yeah. So
Around 800.
I thought he'd be a good signing for the Roosters with Swalehi and Manu going, and he'd fit in there and get a bit of Robbo coaching. But they're not going to give him 800, which is
No one's
fine.
giving him... I think Zac, if he went to the market, it'd be a bit of a reality check, right?
6.
He's worth 6. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And he's a very good player. He's only 24 too, right? We forget that he's only 24, almost 100 games. It seems like he's been around for a while, but this is the 3rd coach now at the club that may not be able to get the best out of him, right? Shane's trying. Obviously, Anthony Griffin last year had some issues with Zac where he switched him size, then dropped him, and Zac didn't like that. But, other clubs are aware that he may not be happy there. Parramatta would be one that, you mentioned the Roosters.
Yeah.
Parramatta's one that, would potentially look at signing him because they're in the market for a strike outside back.
Yeah. And I don't think Zac Lomax, I don't think trading is finished yet. And I think over the first 6 weeks of the comp, there will be noses out of joint like Lomax. And there's another story simmering at another club, which I'll probably do a shush on Sunday about a big name. And so I reckon there could be,
Yeah, there will be some
need
movement. And it generally happens as well when there's been a little bit of change in coaches and the like. But yeah, I think the Zac Lomax situation, Buzz touched on it a couple of weeks ago. We ran it again yesterday. The fact that it's one, I think that's just going to bubble away for the next couple of
But
weeks.
I actually like the fact he's got the shits.
And to his credit, publicly he's saying all the right things, right? He's saying, I'll do what's best for the team. He's not...
He could go out in the wing and loaf, or, not...
I can't say that he's, been outstanding in the opening 2 games.
He hasn't been poor either.
He's been fine. But you look at what
I think
Sully's done.
I think he should be playing the centres.
Sully's been amazing.
Sully was... And Sua, these guys that were, when you talk about ability of Zac Lomax and where they're all probably similar points of their career, those players, but they've all looked really good in the pre-season in the trials. Francis Molo's another one that looked really good in the trials. Obviously, they're still trials, right? They don't mean anything, but you saw some decent signs from those players. I didn't see it from Zac. I didn't see it from Terrell Sloan.
If you move Zac Lomax back to the centres, Buzz, what do you do with Jack Bird?
That's the issue now, right?
5'8".
No.
Why?
Just
Why?
I don't. He's just
played a lot there.
When he was younger. I don't think he can play both sides of the field anymore. I don't think he's got that
playing
that
both
speed.
sides. Put Hump one and.
They still need to combine. I don't think the way the game. I don't know. I don't think that structure of that Dragons
If they
line.
had Cameron Munster, or if they had Luke Keary, or if they had Jerome Luai, but Cole Flanagan's their 5'8", and Cole's playing real solid, right? But I still think they're a better backline with Bird, Lomax in the centres.
I don't actually mind where Jack Bird is.
You see what I'm trying
to get the best players on the field, right? But if I was disappointed a little bit in the role that Zac played, I thought he might have played a little bit more, not just like the traditional winger, might have played a little bit more on the ball and come in field a little bit and touch the ball. And we've seen Flano do that before with Val Holmes and the like at Cronulla, where they just won't pigeonhole on the wing. Yep. That's what I'd be doing. To try and get him involved in a little bit more.
There is so much fascination around that game against the Titans. I can't wait. You know the two games that, I don't know, sorry, I'm jumping off your run sheet. The two sides I'm hanging out to watch are the Dragons and the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Shame the West Tigers aren't playing as well, because they're three great Sydney clubs who are under pressure from round one.
Yep. And
what do you do? Do you put Lomax in the centres, or?
I like what Mick said about with the Val Holmes example about get him to go and find the ball at the wing. Don't be stuck playing out there. But I mean, mate, Flano's a much better. He knows a lot more about footy than I do, and
I think he's got a problem with his flick pass and his discipline with the football.
I made that joke the other week, right? Like, there's no doubt.
That's quite good. I like that.
There is that issue with that, like, skill wise.
I like risk takers.
Skill wise, like he looked at his best, and in those moments he looked like Mark Gasnier.
Yeah,
Zac Lomax.
But again, guys, this is round one. They're going to have injuries.
Yeah.
And it's just a talking point. That's going to be an issue that's probably going to bubble on for the next couple of weeks. But
you want Zac Lomax playing at that level. We saw that in round one, Buzz. You wanted to see how Luke Brooks went. I thought, I said this on the pod on Monday, so happy for him. He was tremendous. Geez, he looked good. Turbo, Trell, apart from that intercept pass, he looked really dangerous carrying the load for them, And the guys that were going into round one of that Vegas thing with the spotlight on, they produced.
They're all the big name players on big money.
This is what Zac Lomax is.
That's what I mean. Ben Hunt's the highest paid player of the Dragons. Zac Lomax is next.
Well, he's got to play like it.
I like Flanagan too. I don't pick team on the cap, because Flano didn't sign him for 6 years on ridiculous money. But if Saints are going to make some progress, Lomax needs to perform.
Agree.
And so Saints have released Paul Turner to the UK Super League, frees up a spot. So you're expecting a bit of movement.
They've got
there.
money, they've got spots. They're in a situation now with the Dragons where they've got the ability to pounce if a player becomes available, like Luciano Leilua. If a player becomes available, they've got the money, they've got the spots. They're ready to go. There's no players on the open market now that you're scrambling over. They want to keep Jaden Sewer. I think they want to keep
Sewer's
Francis.
sensational.
I think they want to keep Francis Molo too. But Sewer, they put an offer in, and Sewer sort of said to him, no, I want to play. So I'm not entirely pleased with that offer. I think I could potentially earn some more. It's not. I don't think they're significantly offering anything like that. So they've parked it now until the first 4 or 5 weeks of the competition to see how he performs and then go. But I'd be re-signing Sewer as soon as I can.
Yeah. Well, the other team that you mentioned, Buzz, Bulldogs. Have a look at their lineup. What is your expectation against them versus Parramatta this week?
Oh, look, I think, what's the betting here? Parramatta $1.42 on the TAB markets we're using. I would have had them shorter.
I thought
I think they're next door to being good things. And
if Parramatta lose that game, there should be an investigation.
Yes. I think, gentlemen, that Stephen Crichton is the signing of the off-season. I think he's he's a great player now. In another couple of years, I think we'll be talking about him as a champion. That's how highly I think. However, the rest of their signings, I think half a dozen utility players who weren't a lot more than borderline first graders at their previous clubs. They have an obvious problem at halfback, and Mick, I think they're light on a front row as well.
Definitely light, yeah. It's not a top 8 roster for mine yet, Canterbury.
No.
They're built in and then they're putting the pieces together, but there's question marks on the one. There's still question marks over Matt Burton if he's a playmaking half. Drew Hutchinson,
I'm going to make a statement here. I think Reid Marnie is going to be a big story this year. I think since joining from Parramatta, he's not half the player that he was. And Gus is a shopaholic more than anyone else. When you don't aim up, you get shopped, and I expect that'll happen with Sexton soon. I would not be surprised if unless he pulls his finger out, Reid Marnie.
Really?
Dragons will take
And I've had mail along those lines.
Who would they put in there instead?
Was that your shush buzz? Was that your shush?
No, is there a young fella, Haywood, that they say is a very good hooker?
The grandson of...
Paul Haywood.
Paul Haywood, yeah.
Interesting story, that.
I'm just saying, keep an eye on it.
Well,
I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but I'm getting a little bit of mail out there that they expected a lot more from Reid on the money he was on.
Dragons will sign him tomorrow, Buzz, I'd suggest.
Do you?
Desperate for a hooker.
It's funny a guy like Reid Marnie leaves Parramatta for a little bit more coin, but he was so entrenched there. Do you guys agree?
No, I think it's I agree with what you're saying. He was a bit disappointing last year, but it comes off the back of, when you've got Junior Parlour and Regan Campbell-Gillard either side of you, it makes your job a little bit easier.
But that's what I'm saying, mate. They don't have a front row at Canterbury. King's a nice middle forward.
I'm agreeing with you, but I think that's part of the reason. He was forced to make a lot more tackles, defending a lot more in the middle of the field, and he struggled.
And they chopped and changed their halves, and you've got to build different relationships.
But these are reasons why Reid didn't perform as well as we know he can play.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you, but I'm just giving the reasons.
There is that concern that he was flattered a little bit in that Parramatta side, and then when you've got to try and do that, it's time for him to step up now. But
different roles. Brad wanted him to pass and get the ball to Mitch as soon as he could, or Dylan and Gutho and stuff, which is fine because they're strike players, but he wanted to play with the footy a bit more. So there were different philosophies in the way teams and things should operate.
Yeah, but is this CommBank Stadium going to sell out, is it? Or
they're close to, apparently. So
close to a sellout, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, Hutchinson, question mark. He's a good player, but you wouldn't put him in your top 10 halves.
Nah. But this is the whole thing. About 12 months ago, if you were saying we should be shifting Matt Burton out of 5'8" for Toby Sexton or Drew Hutchinson, no disrespect to those guys, but Burton was a star on the rise, played Origin, Dally M Centre of the Year, a guy with a booming kicking game that you thought would naturally fit into that big-bodied number 6 role at a club like the Bulldogs. And now the off-season calls, which have been resisted by Cam Serrato, was shifting back to the centres.
Serrato got a 5-year, $800,000 deal. Is he under pressure, Mick?
Not yet. I think you need to see.
They went backwards last year. They dropped down the ladder.
I wouldn't.
How long are you going to give him then? I'm just asking.
Yeah. He's easily got another 12 months, and then next year will be D-Day.
What if they finish bottom 3 again?
I'd still give him another 12.
I'm only asking.
Yeah, I think they're going to finish bottom 3 this year.
For mine, we know obviously Gus can change his mind very, very quickly, but for mine, there's no pressure on Cameron Serrato yet. For mine, the pressure is on South and the Eels and potentially North Queensland,
Look, I know we're here to talk footy, but there's a lot of agitated members out there who weren't happy about the dismissal of John Curry as chairman. And if they don't get off to a positive start, there'll be a EGM and there'll be more.
Well, you look at that.
Great man, John Curry, Michael.
Yeah, he's a good fellow, yeah.
Interesting dismissal, that one, and I don't like the way it was done. They waited till boardroom nominations closed prior to Christmas, knowing no one could then stand. Then they went and tapped him. Yeah. I thought it was poor.
No, he's a good guy, a really good guy, passionate about the club and has done a good job.
He's passionate about the club from Pathways Park football through to NRL.
Yeah. My concern, again, we've been talking about this all off-season, they're forwards. Max King starts, which good. Pawasa Farmasili, who...
It's been impressive.
28 years old, 6 clubs, 43 games in 6 years, and has started 7 games in his career. He hasn't been able to settle and establish himself at any of his previous clubs.
I like what I've seen of him in the trials, though.
Yeah, they're saying the same thing about Sam Hughes, who was a good 20s kid, came through at Cronulla, then Parramatta snapped him up, and then he's been playing lower grades with the Bulldogs. But that's a big step up against. I mean, look at the bench.
Josh Curran's a handy pickup.
Look at Parramatta's bench there. Ryan Madison, Joe Offahengawi, and Kelma Tuolangi as their forwards. They're just going to roll all day. So it just shows you what the Bulldogs are up against in those forwards, I think.
Look, they should be far too brilliant in the halves, Para.
Para should win and should win well.
Do you think? What about the size of it?
What are you doing?
Are
you going to share your ABC roster? What are you doing?
I'm doing that game, yeah.
Will you be in the papoose with little Zoe while you're at the game? Have the earmuffs on for her?
No footy for.
You didn't think of taking some maternity leave? Or?
Off-season buzz.
Off-season, right.
He's got 12 months to take it. I've spoken with HR and...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. If everything was going... And Adam was great with this. If everything went well, if I had to take time off, I had the opportunity to take time off, yes.
Oh.
It's good leadership, if I don't mind saying.
What about... Buzz, more importantly, have you seen this... I know we don't have Zoom here because...
Surely our producers can do Zoom.
We've got Mobbs.
Yeah.
Russell Jackson in a T-shirt.
Mobbs Jackson Productions.
Look, I'm more concerned about the poor sub-editor who had to bash their copy into English. Give me a look.
Please.
Are we going to get a live critique?
I'm going to go to the highest level of News Corp.
I thought you were the highest level.
And get Jackson to dress appropriately and get a new photo taken.
He needs a new photo taken.
Buzz's new catchphrase is, I'm a semi-retired sole trader. I've heard that about half a dozen times in the last couple of weeks.
Mate, in my paper, I want collars. All right?
You want collars?
Yeah. Mate, he lives at Queen's Park.
He drives the fashion trends from there.
Remember I had to take Jimmy Silver down to TM Lewin to get some suits for a Dally M award? I'm going to take him up the country road at Westfield Bondi.
Jimmy's a very avid listener of this, so he'll be loving your fashion critique of him.
Well, mate, he needs help here.
Still just on the Bulldogs, Jacob Carraz obviously rewarded for his form, gets that centre spot. Although I was really surprised that Bronson Cherry wasn't in the 17. And, Serrato has been saying privately for a few months that he always thought that they'd bring Bronson Cherry through reserve grade.
Yeah.
But I given what he showed in that first trial against the Storm...
I think that was the plan, Mobbs, and then the trial form went, we got tempted. We're tempted. He'll play first grade very, very soon.
No, he was impressive, but in the trial, the one I saw was against Storm second grade, so they're very hard to evaluate.
But he's impressed them during the pre-season.
I thought he'd pick him.
He's ahead of... Well, the question would have been... you're not picking him ahead of Carraz,
but
right?
But Carraz is a wing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do you go, okay, do we pick him ahead of Blake Wilson or not and play Bronson at centre? Bronson will play first grade, within the first 4, 5, 6 game rounds, I'd say. But, he looked impressive considering such an extended break.
Yeah. What do you make of I thought the back five is pretty good. Taff's obviously been given that fullback spot.
I didn't think Taff played all that strong.
No, he was terrible. He was terrible in the trial. But
they got that young kid, Joash Papali'i.
I hope he lives. That's a pretty serious spray. Terrible.
What would you make of his performance?
Unhappy. he was unhappily out of form, Michael.
Pleasingly out of form.
Joash Papali'i sitting there in reserve grade, waiting to come through.
What are you going to do if he has man of the match and someone has told him he reckons he's terrible?
He had a terrible game. I'm pretty sure Blake would understand that he had a terrible game. I'm not spraying the bloke.
Jeez, harsh.
He didn't play very well, Buzz. What am I supposed to say? He had an unhappy performance.
Can I tell you that? So we had our season wrap in Wednesdays.
Got a lot of stories to tell today, don't you?
Well, Wednesday's paper a week ago, we had our season wrap and did a bit of the preview stuff in there, and we did the verdicts of the 17 teams. And one of our regional papers obviously picked up a version of it to put on in theirs, but they've shuffled things around, and somehow there's been a production error, and they've gone from the Warriors being 4th to 14th in the predictions. The Warriors got hold of it and have sent it round their group chat as motivation for the year. I attempted to correct the ledger with the proper version, and the guy in question said, I won't be passing that along. We'll be using this as thank you very much for the motivation for 2024.
You know who else is doing that to me? Your mate Shane Flanagan.
Right.
Because I said somewhere they have the worst roster in the NRL, right? Which I still maintain that they do. But I've never predicted them to come last. But he goes, wooden spoon. He thinks I've tipped him for the wooden spoon. He's telling everyone I tipped him for the wooden spoon.
Send him a copy of the...
I have. He doesn't want to hear it. He's not interested.
That doesn't fit
not
the narrative.
Interested. Nah. You've made your... I'm like... Mate.
Oh, that's very funny. Yeah, righto. Well, other games. So, Storm-Panthers, big one. The Storm's record winning streak under Craig Bellamy, under massive threat. No Nelson Asafa-Solomona. Cameron Munster in doubt. Bellamy hopeful that he plays. Up against a Penrith side smarting from that World Club Challenge defeat. That's a big ask for him, but they're going to be very hard to beat.
I changed my tip. I went from Melbourne to Penrith yesterday. I don't know. I don't. There's so many games on.
It's a flip of the coin game, that one.
I found this one difficult. I found the Titans Dragons difficult, and I found the Dolphins Cowboys difficult. They're the three that I really struggled.
But that's what's great about the comp. You turn the TV on, you don't know who's going to win.
For differing reasons, obviously Storm-Panthers, two elite sides.
Who did I tip there? The tips there. I did mine.
How far down do I have to look, Buzz?
I got one last week.
I got two, mine.
You're not in here, Mobbsy.
No. I got brushed for Brendan Cowell. Mate, when you've got a Hollywood actor who wants in, great Sharkies man, Brendan Cowell.
So who did I tip there? Penrith, didn't I?
Penrith, yeah. Penrith, Eels, Dragons, Dolphins. Are you going to tip the Dragons every week this year?
No, not at all.
See, I need the Panthers.
I've tipped the Warriors. I've gone against the Sharks.
Wow, that's not your MO.
No, I've decided I'm not going to tip from the heart this year.
Wow.
You off with the Sharks?
Not the slightest.
Last time you didn't tip them, you were off them.
No, not.
Didn't they win the last time you were off them?
Yeah, they did.
Reverse psychology.
But what happens now, if the Warriors win, I get my tipping point. If the Sharks win, my team wins. And I don't. So it's a bet each way, Michael.
I need the Panthers to win because I can't have them heading into that game against Parramatta. What?
I don't have my mobile phone with me. Isn't it horrible when you don't have your mobile phone?
Wait, we're on air. We don't need it. We're here to concentrate.
Yeah, but I like to keep an eye on my messages. And I've left it out the side
Would
of
you
my
like me to go get it for you?
Do you mind? No. Do you ever find it really hard without your mobile now?
Sometimes I like to purposely go out without my mobile phone. It's
good fun.
It's therapeutic.
Yep.
Until you come back and you miss the yarn.
As an Eels fan, I need Penrith to win because I can't have Penrith coming off the back of a World Club Challenge defeat, a round 1 defeat, round 2 against Parra at a packed out Penrith Park.
It's not all about Parra, mate.
Can I tell you a little story?
Yes.
The last time I had my mobile phone off, this is a true story, a long time ago, I was in hospital ready to get a procedure done. And the nurse said, it's quite turn your phone off. And I said, I leave it on. So anyway, I turned it off as instructed. You wouldn't believe it. I wake up next morning, it's 8 a.m, right? Turn it on. And Steve Waugh's manager was trying to reach me and text me that he'd been sacked as the Australian cricket captain.
Stop it.
I did. And when they couldn't get me, they went to Alan Jones and put it on air. So I lost front page, massive story.
Huge story.
And I swear to you, I've never ever had my mobile off since. True story.
I never turned mine off.
You never turned off?
Nah.
So if I ring you...
I might not answer it, but it's never off.
You are right. If you don't answer, you're off.
No, I might be sleeping.
You know you have to turn it off and back on at least once a week. Otherwise,
Why?
The process is slow. And it's like a computer. You've got to get a chance to refresh. If everything's running slow,
Listen,
off and
This sounds
back
like
on.
a scam.
I'll listen
Oh,
to
it's
you on
scary,
rugby
yeah.
league.
Your money's going to disappear somehow by turning it off and on.
Why don't you go and get a job as a Telstra technician? Genius. That'll do.
At least
mate.
we've got some IT helping out if we need some, Buzz.
Oh, isn't that great content? We've got to get that chopped out. We can't let that go to where you telling people to turn their phones off.
Sit there and tell everyone you feel naked. That'll go.
Well, I do. I so miss my phone.
Oh dear. Right, what else we got? Knights Raiders.
Knights, morals.
Morals.
Oh, wow. Hope you heard.
Wow.
Have you cleared that with Ricky?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, this is rubbish. You've got to lay off with this. You really do. All your mates, how did they go? The ones that missed the 8 last year.
Who's that?
Sorry for supporting a winner. Hey? Why don't you like him? You do, you non-stop bagging.
I don't bag
You did a couple of weeks ago.
No, I didn't. I just said I don't think they're going to make the top 8.
You bagged him too.
I didn't bag Ricky, no.
You did.
I bagged their spine.
I'll say something about Ricky. He's not Wayne Bennett, right? He's not, Craig Bellamy. But rugby league desperately needs great characters.
No doubt.
And his lunacy on the sidelines is so special.
Yeah.
It is must watch.
Hey?
It is must watch.
Do you
And
like him?
I think his antics are fun to watch.
Do you?
Yeah.
What about his coaching?
What about his time at Parramatta?
Yeah.
Hey, can I put my result up on the blackboard?
Yeah, overhead projector, one of the greats.
What about him picking Ethan Strange at 6? KO Weeks
Yeah, that was
joins the club, relegated to reserve grade. 19 years old, playing his second NRL game. He was okay in
Excitement
that.
machine, though.
He was impressive in that trial at Queanbeyan.
I think he played himself in
Yeah,
the trials
he has,
because Weeks
yeah.
was probably, if you said a month ago, was probably the front runner for that number 6 jersey.
Absolutely.
It was close, but
Stranger's a very exciting player.
He loves Danny Levi as well. Levi's in at 9. I don't know.
Sebastian Chris back next week, so he'll play fullback, will he? Or
Probably
Pan
Chris,
will
I'd
go.
say.
Yeah.
so,
They'll go right. They won't finish bottom 3.
Where have you got him, Michael?
bottom 4.
Yeah, Papali'i, not the player he was. Tarpany as good as any front
Their
row in the
forward pack's
game.
still
Hudson
strong,
Young, Zach Hoskins, don't know about Morgan Smithies. They're a good footy side. They'll be all right. They'll bang on the door for the 8 again.
I disagree.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good
that'll be
because it makes
interesting to watch.
I don't like you agreeing with me. What's next, Mobbsy?
Shall we
Dinner?
move on to some listener questions, Michael?
All right. Pete wants to know, what's the team's take on the low numbers of US viewership for Vegas? The Guardian, everyone was reporting 66,000 for South Manly, 44,000 for Roosters Broncos. Does it change much for the plan going forward?
Pete, can you get a Telegraph subscription, because we had the numbers there as well. Sorry, no.
Pete sent me an
Tele
email,
subscription.
so-
Oh, did he? Yeah. Guardian reporting. Come on.
I thought the numbers were just slightly disappointing, but it's first go. The local college footy went to overtime. That could have kept the bigger, there's two ways of looking at that. But there's absolutely no way I'm giving up, and I'm sure with the excitement created around Vegas, it'll improve next year. Not concerned at all.
No, well, were they, again, disappointing the numbers, I think, considering the potential audiences, but, it just shows you what sort of tasks they're up against, Mick, to get some cut through, because not only is it an unknown sport over there, but there's so much to watch, over here, all the streaming services, so much to watch.
This is Mobbsy's Bernard Graham wants to know, why do so many Fox experts hate Para? They'll say 38 years a million times at least this season. I don't like hearing the 38s because it reminds me of how old I am.
Yeah, well, I just looked over to Buzz, who I saw you when Cronulla broke their duck in 2016, 50 years. I hope I get to see that at some point. But everyone's going to keep saying it until they win.
This is a big year for Parrot. They've got to make some movement, Are they in a premiership window? I'm not so sure. My view is
If they're not,
this.
they've wasted it, Buzz.
Yeah, my view is this. they've got a lot of 7.5 players.
Yep, I agree with
out
this.
of 10, you know, and a fair bit of depth. And Brown and Moses, Gutho's going to be a story this year. One of the arguably the best competitor in rugby league. But do they need more from fullback and a guy squirting in each side? I don't know. It's a really, really big year. Look, I don't think if they miss the 8 again, I think Brad Arthur's gone.
Yeah, well, I think that's a given, right?
You know, but the thing is, they've now set up so the next couple of years you're going to have guys like Blaze Talangi, Matt Arthur, Jock Brazel, Sam Tuivasa. You're going to have these guys coming through.
Yeah, but every club's got kids coming through, mate.
Yeah, but Parramatta have finally got, I think, some really good young guys. Will Penasini was probably the first major one off that production line, so that'll help. But you're right, they've got to go out, and if they've got holes in that roster, they've got to go and fill it. They've locked into Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses long term, so they've got a forward pack that's the envy of most clubs. Outside backs need a little bit more striking.
Backs definitely,
but pressure's on. There's no excuses from this year. Everything last year, most things last year were self-inflicted, weren't they? So, what could go wrong did go wrong, and everyone else has got better. Well, a lot of teams, the rivals, Manly get Turbo back, South get Jack White, and the Cowboys will improve from their disappointment. So there's a lot of those teams that were outside the 8 that they have. Any of those teams that don't make the 8 this season is a massive disappointment. So you've got to, not only do you have to usurp the top 8 teams, you've got to beat those other ones for a genuine top 8 race. So, yeah.
Brett wants to know, with all the big fish already signed for 25, do the Dragons Flano have any hope of signing a marquee player?
There's not anyone really available, is there? Unless they can find a club like Storm that's desperately, that probably ain't as powerful in the centres as others, and do a swap with Lomax, or the Roosters seem to have a stack of forwards, and maybe who have they got in the middle? They got Lanu, they got Collins, they got Radley, they got Hargreaves, May.
May's off contract, but
but you know what I mean. And I can't say that he won't get a marquee.
No, it needs to be, it's got to be a contractor player though, and one will fall out of the tree at some stage. We saw it with Final Blake, who they missed out on. We saw it with Leilua that they signed.
But isn't it? I don't know if I've ever seen the free agency market the way it is at the moment, with people signing long-term deals, because the salary cap's increased, so that the next level guys that you're often, if you're not going to get a Nathan Cleary out of a club, then you go for a Jerome Luai, and the Tigers managed to get that. But you could look at the Storm, guys like Suafalogo, who could conceivably play fullback at half a dozen NRL clubs, signs a 5-year extension to stay with the Storm. Craig Bellamy said on 360, this kid's a fullback. Hello, you've got Ryan Pappenhausen there, Nick Meaney's moved to the centres, and they've got him locked down for 5 years now. So the Dragons and other clubs don't have a chance of getting guys like this the way the market is.
It's interesting how they used Pappenhausen last year. Remember, as a sort of extra, as a 14, and who's that?
Getting the wind up from the Supercoach boys.
Yeah.
This is for you,
Buzz. Do we rate better than Supercoach?
Not at this time of year, I don't think. But
really?
Depends if you fire up, Buzz.
Well,
I might have a look at this then and put Mr. Sangster. Hey?
Can we cut that out, please?
2 quick questions, Buzz. Vinsanity, Buzz, did you find any jungle chicken curry in Vegas?
I didn't. No? I didn't go looking either.
Michael wants to know, Coach, I want to congratulate Buzz on having the best potty, and it should be minimum 3 times a week during the season. Michael, I also hope the cadetship you're doing under Buzz is successful and you continue to learn from him.
Well, mate, that's what this is all about. Just call me Coach. Hey?
Call me Coach.
Hey?
You got the name for the podcast. Don't knock a champion or call me Coach. Take your pick.
Don't knock a champion. I did bag him a little bit last year.
What are we doing for tea?
Butter chicken in the mob's house tonight.
Lamb gone.
Oh, honestly, I don't know. I don't have mint sauce. No, I don't know what we're doing.
Serious?
Well, Clara's not home.
Clara, do your homework. Clara, what's your favourite takeout?
Clara's getting hospital food, but I might, if she wants some food to watch the footy, we might.
What would you bring in? KFC?
Maybe Thai. Maybe she loves Thai. Curry. Well, we're locked in Indian for Friday night. That's her first meal.
Have you been eating rubbish since?
No, not really. My mother-in-law's been cooking, so and I was at 360 last night. There was Chinese there, so I had that.
Right.
So
It's first Thursday we haven't had you say you're having lamb for dinner, Mike.
Yeah. Only because there's a lot of disruption on the home
there's
front.
a little bit going on. What are you having, Buzz?
Porcupine meatballs. No, I'm going to have a jungle curry.
You are.
I am, yeah.
Of course. It's the first Thursday night of the season. You got to do
Jungle curry.
it.
Yeah, Sharkies tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Be
Big
there,
game over there, mate.
Be
The
there.
Warriors.
Going to.
No.
Well, do you know that game's almost sold out over there for tomorrow night? They've got the Christchurch game the following week.
Yeah.
Sell out.
I did a little par last week. Every table in every
Read
corporate suite, bar one, which is Easter Sunday v Nights, has sold. That joint is a powerhouse. Look out rugby, Mick.
Let's do it.
Well,
Look out rah-rah.
They're talking about the Warriors sliding down the ladder this year. I think they're an improved squad from last year, even if you think they overachieved last season.
For Monday Buzz, I valued every single player in the comp to work out what the cap, how strong you are. And the great Brent Reid helped me with it. We both did in New Zealand. The Warriors are ranked very highly on values.
Nice.
Right, well, we're going to make way for the Supercoach pod, guys. So enjoy your footy this weekend, everyone. Mick, go home and look after the bub, and we'll catch you next week.
See ya.